This 6'8 demigod build is overpowered in NBA 2K26. At 6'8, it gets a 91 drive and dunk, and with 2 cap breakers, you can upgrade that to a 93, giving you the best dunks in the game. And you can also use your max plus 2s on posterizer after you get it gold and level it up to legend, and that badge go crazy. You get a 91 3-pointer giving you set shot specialist on gold, and personally, I think that's the best badge in the game, and you can max plus 2 either one of these to legend. Then you get an 86 ball handle and an 80 speed with ball, giving you the best sigs in the game for tall guards. But if you haven't already, hit that like button for me. Let's get 100 likes on this video. And if you're new, sub up while you're down there. I appreciate it. It means a lot. But let's not waste too much time. Let's get into this builder. All right, for position, I went with small forward. It really don't matter. You can go small forward or shooting guard. You just get a different build name. And then for your height, I went with 6'8". Weights 185, and then your wingspan I went with 6'8". And pay attention to this max attribute screen right here. It'll show you where you can use your cap breakers whenever you're making this build. So as you can see, my drive and dunk can go to a 94, my 3-pointer can go to a 92, my perimeter can go all the way up to an 85, speed, agility can go up. You want to pay attention to that when you're making your build. All right, so we're gonna start with finishing. I already got everything upgraded for you. I just want you to follow along with me so I can let you know why I put certain things up. So close shot, not very important. Driving layup, I wasn't trying to get driving layup very high. These just went up as I upgraded other categories. So we're going to 71 close shot, 71 driving layup. And then our driving dunk, we went with the 91. And the reason we went with the 91 is because we went with shooting specialization. So off rip, we're already gonna get 2 cap breakers on our shooting category. So I wanna put my cap breakers in finishing, defense, whatever it may be. I'm already gonna get ones from doing challenges in the shooting, so I'm gonna save those for later. It's gonna take a little bit to get those, but I'm gonna use the cap breakers that I earned throughout the game on different categories, not shooting. So we went with the 91 driving dunk. This right here already gives us contact dunks, and we have posterizer on silver, but I upgraded this to a 93 with 2 cap breakers. And then my posterizer, as you can see, it went up with the 93 driving dunk and the 80 vertical. It went up to gold, and then I can max plus 2 that or max plus 1. And gold is perfectly fine. You don't have to max plus it to Hall of Fame or legend. Gold is enough. But when you put it on legend, I'm telling you that badge goes crazy. On to the standing dunk. This also went up with the rest of my categories, but you really only need a 40 standing dunk so that you can activate your standing dunk when you get under the rim. So keep that in mind. You don't have to have a standing dunk, but I was dropping this down and it was lowering my driving dunk, so that's why I kept it up. And then for post control, I went with the 51. This was not very important. Again, it's another category that just went up as I upgraded the build. Moving on to our shooting. So we put our mid-range up to an 81, and everything is set at a certain thing for a reason. As you can see, when I drop down my mid-range to an 80, my 3-pointer goes down. I don't want that to go down because as you can see, I get shifty shooter on gold. Then I can max plus 2 that to legend. So I wanted to make sure I got 3-pointer on 91, and I couldn't drop my mid-range at all. So we're gonna leave that at 81, and 3-pointer's gonna be 91. This gives us limitless silver, shifty gold, set shot gold off rip. Both of those, I go back and forth with my max plus 2s, but again, my specialization is in shooting. So I can max plus 2 both of these. Whenever I finish that specialization, I'm gonna have both of these on legend. I'm gonna be going crazy. It's gonna be sick out. It's gonna be wild. And then moving on to the free throw, I went with a 77, just something decent so I can play in a rec and hit free throws. And again, you know how at the end of your build, you have a whole bunch of attributes left over, and free throw is super cheap, so I just threw them into free throw. Moving on to the playmaking. Pass accuracy, we went with the 76 pass sack. This right here gives us versatile visionary on silver. Of course, we got diamond on silver as well because we're not selfish. We're gonna pass the ball a little bit, we're gonna throw dots. And this build does throw dots with a 76 pass sack. Honestly, me personally, I think you only need like a 71 pass sack in this game unless you're playing on the 5s. If you're playing 5s in Pro-Am, comp Pro-Am, then you're gonna need something pretty high. But if you're playing in the park, you don't need anything higher than a 71 in my opinion, because that 71 is gonna give you diamond on silver. And then for our ball handle and speed with ball, we max both of these out. On 6'8", you wanna max these out because the stamina is crazy on 6'8". If you're dribbling, if you're comboing up, you're gonna be blinking if you don't max these out. So our ball handle, we went with an 86, and our speed with ball, we went with an 80. This also gives us the best sigs in the game for tall guards. So we're not missing out on nothing. We're gonna be able to have the best animations, everything we need for this build. But as you can see, we get handles for days on silver, unpluggable silver. Unpluggable, you really don't need it that high because steals are trash this year and you don't really be getting ripped like that. But handles for days, I put that on gold. I max plus 1 that to gold, but you don't have to, that's just what I do. And then strong handles, when you pair your 86 with your 73 strength, you're able to get strong handles on gold. And I wanted to get that because I want to do that little nutmeg animation. On to the defense. So the defense is not super crazy, but it's enough. You're gonna be able to hold your own. I personally, I play on the 1 sometimes in the theater, and I can play defense. I get cooked sometimes and I'm playing the best players in the world, and yeah, like I might get cooked a little bit. But as far as threes, especially if you have a lock on your team, you're not the main lock, 85 perimeter, 60 steals is enough. It gives you intercepting on bronze, which isn't too crazy, but then again, steals aren't that good in this game. And then for block, I went with the 78 block. The reason I went with the 78 here is so I can get high flying denier on silver, and then I max +1 this to gold, and that's overpowered. Gold, high flying denier, I get a whole bunch of contests that I shouldn't get with that. And then I pair that with the 60 interior defense. I'm able to hold my own decently. Majority of the time I'm on the 3s, but I can play on the 2s perfectly fine with this build and be able to play defense. On the 1s, it might be a little bit harder if you're playing somebody that's really, really good. But let's think about it. You're really not gonna play that many people that's that good at the game. So this defense setup is all right, you'll be good. Onto our rebounding. Again, these are just filler categories that I just filled up just because I got rebound chaser on bronze and I got box out beast on bronze. I wanted to have those just in case I needed them, but I wasn't really focused on these categories. These were like my main categories where I had to make sure I had something. Now onto the physicals. These are very important. You don't want to be moving like a slug out here. So you want to pay attention to these physicals. These are going to impact your contact dunks, how fast you're moving on defense, all kinds of stuff. Your physical is very important. So our speed, we went with an 85 speed. It doesn't really unlock anything. We get slippery off ball on gold, which is kind of good if you're dexing around, but we're really just trying to go for the speed so that we can have that animation where we can burst out. And then for agility, this right here is going to be tied into your lateral quickness. So whenever you're holding the left trigger and you're sliding back and forth on defense, this right here, your agility, it determines how fast you're able to do that. As you can see, it doesn't really, you know, I can drop it and it doesn't take away any badges, but I want to have an 80 just so I can be moving a little bit faster. You can get an 83 on here and get Jalen Suggs motion style, which is probably the best motion style in the game. I don't have an 83 right here. I might use cap. Eventually, if I get enough cap breakers, I'll probably bump this up to an 83. Right now, it's not super important to me, so I'm not upgrading it, but that's at an 80. And then for our strength, we went with the 73 strength. As you can see, it's giving us strong handles on gold. That's really what I wanted. I want to be able to do that nutmeg animation. So that's why we went with that. And then for vertical, again, this is tied to posterizer. It's tied to our contact dunk animations. So it's very important. But that's the build right there. As you can see, once you continue and it shows you what you made, you got comparisons of Glenn Robinson, Paul Pierce, and Paul George. Hey, that 02, 03 Paul Pierce and that 16, 17 Paul George, those are some good comparisons. But as you can see, strengths, dynamic dunker in transition, drops bombs off the catch, good with the rock in traffic, an absolute blanket defender. And the weaknesses won't be getting many steals, which nobody in the game is getting many steals, so it really don't matter. And then it says no feel for rebounding position. I'm a guard, I don't really care to rebound. My center supposed to do that. So I ain't like I don't really care about those weaknesses. Yeah, I have them, but hey, we guards, we're not worried about all that. If you made it this far into the video, hit that like button for me and click this video on the screen where I give you the best dribble moves in the game to use on your 6A.